Have you ever faced a problem that felt so heavy it almost crushed your spirit? We've all been there, staring at the chaos, trying to find peace in the noise. But what if I told you that every problem, no matter how impossible it seems, carries a hidden solution within it? You don't need to fight the storm. You need to learn how to stand still in it. Because peace isn't found after solving the problem. Peace is the power that helps you solve it. Today, I want to share with you the Peaceful Mind Formula, a way to face any challenge with strength, clarity, and calm. When we're faced with a problem, the first thing we often do is panic. Our minds start racing, our hearts beat faster, and we react before we even understand what's really happening. We jump into fixing things, saying things, or making decisions that later we wish we hadn't. But here's the truth. Most problems don't need an instant reaction. They need a mindful pause. That pause is where your strength truly lies. The moment you learn to pause before reacting, you give yourself permission to think, to breathe, and to regain control over your emotions. It's not weakness to stop, it's wisdom, because sometimes silence speaks louder than chaos. In that small space between what happens to you and how you respond lies your greatest power. Think about it when something goes wrong. You can either let the situation control your emotions or let your emotions control the situation. The difference is decided in that pause. That short, still moment is where peace is born. It's the moment where your mind shifts from panic to purpose. It's where you stop being the victim of the problem and start becoming the author of the solution. The world teaches us to move fast, solve it now, fix it immediately, don't wait. But a peaceful mind knows that not every problem deserves a quick answer. Some problems require observation, not reaction. Some need reflection, not resistance. When you pause, you allow your thoughts to settle, just like muddy water becomes clear when it's still. Clarity doesn't come from noise, it comes from stillness. I have learned that a calm pause can prevent a lifetime of regret. It can save relationships, preserve dignity, and reveal paths that panic would never allow you to see. Because when you're in an emotional storm, everything looks worse than it is. But when you breathe, when you slow down, the fog begins to lift. You start seeing not just the problem, but the possibilities hidden inside it. And that's what a peaceful mind does. It doesn't rush to escape pain, it learns to understand it. This pause isn't about doing nothing. It's about choosing the right something. It's about creating space for your wisdom to speak louder than your fear. It's about realizing that reacting quickly might feel satisfying in the moment, but responding calmly will always lead to a better outcome. You don't need to have all the answers right away. You just need to stay still long enough for the right answers to find you. So, the next time life throws something unexpected your way, don't rush to fix it, don't fight it, and don't let your emotions take the lead. Just pause, take a breath. Remind yourself that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of calm within them. And when you learn to pause before reacting, you don't just solve problems, you transform them. One of the hardest things for us as human beings is to accept what we cannot change. When life takes an unexpected turn, our first instinct is to resist it, to fight against what's happening, to ask, why is this happening to me? We struggle, we deny, we push back. But the truth is, the more we resist reality, the more we suffer. Acceptance doesn't mean you agree with what happened. It doesn't mean you approve of it. And it definitely doesn't mean you're giving up. Acceptance simply means you're choosing peace over inner war. It's choosing to see things as they are, rather than how you wish they were. And that single shift changes everything. When you resist the situation, your mind stays stuck in chaos. You replay the same questions, the same pain, the same frustration over and over again. But when you accept, you begin to release. You stop fighting the tide and learn how to flow with it. That's where real strength begins. Not in controlling everything, but in remaining calm when everything seems out of control. Acceptance doesn't weaken you, it empowers you. It tells life, you can test me, but you can't break me. There's something beautiful that happens when you stop asking, why me? And start saying, all right, this is where I am. Now, what can I do from here? That's the moment peace enters your heart, because acceptance is clarity. It clears the fog of anger and disappointment and helps you see what you can actually control. You realize that the situation itself isn't your enemy, your resistance to it is. When you embrace what is, you create the space to change what can be. So often, we think peace comes after everything gets better, but peace actually begins the moment you stop fighting what's already happened. You can't rewrite the past, but you can rewrite your response to it. When you accept something with grace, it loses its power to destroy your spirit. Acceptance doesn't make the pain disappear instantly, but it makes it bearable. It allows you to move through it with dignity. Think of a tree in a storm. The rigid one breaks, but the one that bends survives. Life's winds will blow no matter what you do, but your flexibility, your ability to accept and adapt, is what helps you stand tall after the storm passes. The more you fight reality, the more you exhaust yourself. The moment you accept, you conserve your energy for what truly matters: healing, learning, and growing. So, when a problem arises, don't let your first response be denial or resistance. Instead, whisper to yourself, "This is my now." You don't have to like it, but you can face it, because true peace begins the moment you stop running from your reality and start walking through it with courage. When we are caught in the middle of a problem, our emotions often take over before our logic even gets a chance to speak. We become angry, hurt, anxious, or fearful. And in that emotional storm, our decisions start to reflect our pain, not our wisdom. The truth is, emotion is powerful, but it isn't always accurate. It's like trying to see clearly through a fogged mirror. Until the fog settles, you can't see the reflection for what it truly is. And that's why one of the most peaceful and powerful things you can do in difficult times is to separate emotion from solution. It's not about ignoring your feelings. It's about honoring them, feeling them, but not letting them lead you blindly. Emotions are signals, not instructions. They tell you something is wrong, but they shouldn't decide what you do next. Imagine being in a storm and steering a ship based only on the waves instead of the compass. You'd lose your way completely. Your emotions are the waves. Your mind, when calm, is the compass. If you follow every rise and fall of emotion, you'll end up lost in reaction rather than finding resolution. When you face a problem, take a moment to breathe through the emotion before you act on it. Let your anger settle, let your tears fall if they must, let your heart release what it's holding. Then, once the storm inside begins to calm, step back and look at the situation as if you were an observer. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? What's within my control? What's just my fear talking? That simple act of self-awareness turns emotion into understanding and understanding into clarity. I've seen how a single decision made in anger can destroy relationships and how a decision made in calmness can save them. Emotions make us human, but balance makes us wise. A peaceful mind doesn't deny feelings, it manages them. It allows both the heart and the mind to have a voice, but it lets peace make the final decision. When you're calm, you don't suppress your emotions, you channel them. You use your energy not to react, but to respond with intention. There is immense power in the pause between emotion and action. That's where transformation happens. That's where peace whispers. You don't have to fight this. You can handle it differently. And once you begin to separate emotion from solution, you stop letting your feelings build the problem higher. You start using them to understand yourself deeper. So, the next time your emotions begin to rise like a tide, don't rush to fix everything in that moment. Step back. Let peace be the filter through which you think, speak, and act. Because when emotions settle, truth appears. And when truth appears, the solution follows naturally. When life hits us with problems, the first question that almost always escapes our lips is, why me? It's a question born out of pain, confusion, and helplessness. We feel singled out, almost punished by circumstances we didn't choose. But the truth is, staying in that question keeps us trapped in the past where answers don't exist. The why only deepens the wound, while the what now begins the healing. The moment you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what can I do now? You shift from being powerless to being purposeful. That's the beginning of transformation. Every problem carries two paths, one that leads to self-pity and another that leads to self-growth. Why me? Locks you inside the problem. It makes you relive the pain over and over again. It focuses all your energy on what's gone wrong, rather than what could go right. But when you ask, what now? Your focus changes. You begin to move. You begin to grow. You realize that you may not control what happened, but you do control what happens next. That single change in question changes your entire story. It's natural to feel broken when things fall apart, but remember, brokenness can also be the beginning of something beautiful if you choose to rebuild differently. The people who rise after falling aren't the ones who found all the answers. They're the ones who chose to ask better questions. The why keeps you emotionally stuck. The what now sets you mentally free. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about deciding that even if things aren't fine, you will still move forward with grace. When a challenge arrives, it's not the end of your journey. It's a redirection. Sometimes life removes things not to punish you, but to prepare you for something greater. But you'll only see that when you stop staring at the closed door long enough to notice the open one beside it. That awareness comes from a peaceful mind, one that refuses to waste energy on blaming and instead focuses on building. There's a quiet strength in saying, this happened. I can't change that, but I can choose what to do next. It's the strength that comes from acceptance and action walking hand in hand. That's how problems stop defining you and start refining you. You begin to realize that every difficulty you face is not a dead end. It's a direction toward growth, wisdom, and resilience. So when life places you in a situation that feels unfair or unbearable, don't drown in the question of why me? Instead, lift your head, take a deep breath, and ask, what now? Because peace doesn't come from having a life without problems. It comes from having the courage to face them with purpose. When we're faced with a big problem, it often feels like the whole world is pressing down on our shoulders. The weight of it can be so heavy that we freeze, unsure where to even begin. Our minds race with every possible outcome, every fear, every what if. But the truth is, no mountain is climbed in one leap, and no problem is solved in one thought. Every great achievement, every healing, every transformation happens one small step at a time. The mistake we often make is looking at the entire problem all at once. And that's what overwhelms us. Peace begins when you stop trying to solve everything today and start focusing on what you can do in this moment. Breaking things down doesn't make the problem smaller, but it makes you stronger. When you take one piece of the puzzle at a time, it suddenly becomes manageable. You might not see the whole picture yet, but every small step you take moves you closer to clarity. Even when progress feels slow, it's still progress. The problem with impatience is that it steals your focus from the present moment. You begin to chase the finish line instead of trusting the journey. But a peaceful mind understands that time is not the enemy, it's the teacher. The answers you're seeking often unfold gradually, not instantly. Think of life like a staircase. You don't climb it by jumping to the top, you climb it one step at a time. Each step may feel small, maybe even insignificant, but together they build the path forward. That's how healing works, that's how growth works, and that's how every problem unravels. One decision, one action, one choice at a time. When you stop rushing, you start seeing. When you stop panicking, you start understanding. And that understanding brings peace. Sometimes we're so focused on the end that we forget to appreciate the small victories along the way. But those small victories are proof that you're moving forward, even when the road feels endless. Each moment of clarity, each time you choose calm over chaos, each effort you make, it all matters. You may not notice the change day by day, but one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You'll see that every tiny effort built the strength you needed to face the bigger picture. So when life feels too heavy, when everything seems too much to handle, take a breath and break it down. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now? Then do it. That's how peace leads to progress, not through control, but through consistency. Because no matter how big the storm, if you keep taking small, steady steps, you'll always find your way out of it. Every problem we face comes with a purpose, though we rarely see it at first. When we're in the middle of pain, confusion, or loss, it's hard to believe that anything good could ever come from it. We only see the hurt, the disappointment, the struggle. But as time passes, as the dust begins to settle, we often look back and realize that the problem that once broke us also built us. The challenge that made us cry also made us grow. And that's when we understand something powerful. Problems aren't punishments, they're teachers in disguise. When life tests you, it isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to awaken something within you. Every challenge carries a message, a lesson that shapes who you're meant to become. Sometimes the lesson is patience. Sometimes it's strength. Sometimes it's forgiveness. The key is to shift your perspective from, why is this happening to me? To, what is this teaching me? Because the moment you begin to learn from your pain, it stops being your enemy and becomes your guide. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in difficulty. A peaceful mind doesn't run from problems, it listens to them. It asks, what can I learn here? Because when you learn, you evolve. The most beautiful souls are not those who have never faced hardships, but those who faced storms and came out softer, wiser, and more compassionate. Pain can break you, yes, but if you let it teach you, it can also rebuild you into someone even stronger. Every scar, every mistake, every setback has something to offer if you're willing to pay attention. Sometimes, what feels like a problem is simply life redirecting you to something better. The job that didn't work out might be the reason you discovered your purpose. The person who left might have made space for someone who truly values you. The door that closed may have been protecting you from a path that wasn't meant for you. But you only see that truth when you look at your problems through the lens of growth, not pain. That's the power of a peaceful mind. It doesn't get stuck in the why. It seeks meaning, not misery. The lesson doesn't always reveal itself immediately, but it's always there, waiting for you to notice it. The same problem that once made you cry can one day make you wise enough to help someone else through theirs. And that's how life comes full circle. Your pain becomes someone else's hope. Your struggle becomes someone else's strength. So when the next problem comes your way, don't ask life to take it away. Ask for the wisdom to understand it. Because the moment you start seeing problems as teachers instead of enemies, you stop merely surviving and start truly growing.